We're going to kick it off with this 56 Chevy 210 two-door sedan, and you can see already this thing has got a crazy psychedelic paint job. We see the gold leaf lettering on there that says Street Freak, and this thing has every trick in the book. It's got panel paint, it has all sorts of cool patterns and cool airbrush work. This car has all the tricks for an early 70s style psychedelic paint job. And then out back we've got endless lines in two different designs here on the deck lid. This thing has so many custom details, even the roof. Look at all the custom designs on the roof, lace work, and you can see it has a pretty cool stance. It's got big old Firestone tires tucked up under the back of it, Krager wheels front and back, little skinnies up front just like it's supposed to be. Very cool looking 70s Street Freak gasser. Sitting next to it is a bright yellow 57 Chevy two-door sedan. We can see this thing's got a supercharger, two big 4-barrel carburetors, and a big Hilborn style scoop. Of course, the bright yellow paint gets your attention, but it does have a really nice leather interior, big tires tucked up under the back, and of course, a cool Pro Street stance. Here's another 57 Chevy, this time a much more traditional car. Bright red with a white roof. We got Krager SS wheels, raised white letter tires. This is your average street cruiser, except it's not average when you look under the hood. I heard this car go by and it hit a pretty good lick, but I did not know that it had an inline 6-cylinder. Check this out, two carburetors on there, split manifold. It's got a magneto over there. This is a really hopped up 6-cylinder engine and it sounded really good. I hate that I didn't get an exhaust clip of it, but you'll have to trust me on this one. This thing sounded great. Gassers always look cool with a flip front end, but you wouldn't expect this 4-door to be turned into a gasser. But this thing has a pretty rowdy small block in it. Check out that tone ram, 2 4s, and you got those staggered velocity stacks with the K&N filters. Aluminum radiator, flex fan, white fender well headers. You'll notice it doesn't have a straight axle. It's just set up with the A-arm front suspension. But this car does have a roll bar in it. You can see bucket seats, metal flake steering wheel, and then a bunch of stickers on the windows for that traditional gasser look. Steel wheels on the back, skinny Americans on the front. Pretty cool looking car and definitely a unique use of a 4-door sedan. One of the biggest attractions for the Tri-Five Nationals was a cool match race between Jeff Lutz in this incredible 57 Chevy. This thing is essentially a pro modified car. And look at this thing. Pro line billet Hemi engine, 2 giant turbos. And ultimately he was going to be matching up with Alex Taylor and her world famous 55 Chevy that has been way over 200 miles an hour, 6 second quarter mile ETs, and all of this in a car you can drive across country. Pretty amazing to see a pro mod versus a legitimate street car going head to head and having some pretty cool side-by-side passes. Alex Taylor runs a more conventional big block Chevy, obviously making huge horsepower through giant twin turbos, and this thing has a killer cooling system. This thing is set up for drag and drive events. It is made to go long distances and it's made to go fast. It's a very cool looking piece and I love that it sits right on the ground. It's got that cool patina. This is a great looking race car. Now I've said this before, you can't have a Tri-Five event without having a few American Graffiti and Two-Lane Blacktop tribute cars. But this isn't a tribute car, this is the real deal. This is actually one of the cars that was used in the movie Two-Lane Blacktop. We can see a gutted out interior. It's got fiberglass doors with those Lexan sliding windows, fiberglass front end with that iconic scoop, the 200S wheels, all the right stuff because this is the car that was used in the movie. If we look under the hood, you can see this thing is showing its age a little bit. It's got some gas stains on that tunnel ram, but this is legit. This is all the stuff that was used in the movie back in the day. This thing has so much cool history. There's a group of people who obsess over the Two-Lane Blacktop cars, and they can tell you every nut and bolt that is correct or incorrect on this car. But either way, this is a cool piece of Tri-Five history. It's a cool movie car, and it definitely speaks to my interest of old drag cars because this thing was set up to look like an old drag car or a street racer from back in the 60s and 70s. Now, I did see a couple of good tribute cars, and this is one of them. This one has a little different stance. You can see it does have the American 200S, the Daisy wheels. It does have a little skinnier combination on the front with bias ply tires, but you can see this car has a great overall look, a cool satin gray finish, the iconic scoop, of course, and then we get around here, we can see that this car isn't quite as radical as the other. It appears to have steel doors with regular glass roll-up windows. Doesn't have the pin-on deck lid, but still a very cool tribute to an iconic car. Here we have another one of these real deal type of cars. This is a true survivor, 57 Chevy 210 two-door sedan, and this car was raced in stock eliminator in the late 60s. John Barkley, you see the name there, he ultimately would end up in the magazine industry. He was a big name back in the day, but he was also a drag racer. This car was known for its performance. It was an NHRA record holder. It was a race-winning car. It actually won the '68 NHRA Winter Nationals, and this thing is still together and still looking really good, and it's still performing good. This car is actually a functional car. They go out there and race it with the junior stock group. This thing puts on a show. It still looks the part, looks just like it did back in the late 60s, and hopefully it never changes. Even though the field is full of regular Tri-Five Chevys, Corvettes are allowed. 55, 56, and 57 Corvettes are totally allowed and encouraged at the Tri-Five Nationals, and this is a cool example. You can see the weathered lettering on this thing. It has C-Stock designations there in the cove, and it has the name Doodlebug there. Now, above it, it says NHRA B-Stock Champion 1965. So this thing has two different class designations, but I don't know exactly the history of this car. I do know that the paint's been on there for a long time. I do know this thing has an original type engine. It didn't have a real aggressive cam. It didn't even have open headers. This thing actually has exhaust manifolds on it still. Very cool looking time capsule car. You can see it's got skinny Kragers on the front, black steel wheels on the back with some little Phoenix slicks on there. Those are only 7 inches wide, which was a rule in stock eliminator back in the day, and it's still a rule in this junior stock class, which this car ran in at the Tri-Five Nationals. Now this is a cool combination. 55 Chevy 4-door station wagon pulling a 56 Chevy drag car on an open trailer. Imagine seeing this setup going down the highway. I bet you he turned a lot of heads out on the interstate headed to the track. Here's a cool lineup of Tri-Five gassers. We got a 56, 210, two-door sedan, cool scoop, good tire and wheel combo, and then a wild and crazy psychedelic paint job. That car used to run with the Southeast Gassers, and then a really cool looking yellow and white 55 two-door sedan. All three of these cars looking real cool, good period correct wheels, and a lot of great details. Here's a closer look at that 56 Chevy 210 and that gasser lineup. Check out those old bucket seats. Those are really cool items there. The gray primer on this car looks just right. It's very fitting for a car of this nature. Skinny slots on the front. You got pie crust slicks and steelies on the back. Big block with that Torquer 2 intake manifold. Big Holly 4-barrel up there. Very cool car that was running in the gear banger class. Now here's a pretty cool pro street car. This is a 57 Chevy station wagon. We'll see this thing has a ton of custom body work, but check out that handmade scoop. That's a surfer style scoop sitting on top of 3 2-barrel carburetors. Very cool custom setup there, but look at the body modifications. They lean that B-pillar forward to kind of make it more like a Nomad, but you can see this thing's not trying to be a Nomad. It's just a true custom build. Lots of slick details, slick paint, and a cool stance. Let's check out the swap meet. There's always a lot of good stuff, and we're kicking it off with a bunch of rare and old school intake manifolds. We've got a really nice looking Hillborn mechanical fuel injection setup, tons of single plane intake manifolds, and then check out down here. We've got a chrome plated blow-proof bell housing. That's a really neat piece. You gotta love a tunnel ram for eye candy at a swap meet booth, and this one's a cool one because look at this. This thing has been welded together. I love when people make their own stuff. Somebody must have got tired of that gasket blowing out and they just decided to weld those two pieces together. Pretty wild setup. Here's another tunnel ram, this time a single 4-barrel tunnel ram for a big block. Then another really big piece, that's like race car stuff. We got more blow-proof bell housings. We got Corvette fin aluminum valve covers. A lot of cool stuff. There's some Edelbrock fin aluminum valve covers too. So many cool parts and pieces in the swap meet, including these skinny Kragers. Look at these Kragers that have been painted this charcoal gray. Looks like some 8s there with it that have been reversed. Very cool combination for a gasser. Here's another tunnel ram, and this one has really been welded on. Look at the welds on here. Somebody used a lot of aluminum rod to fix or change the direction or something on this tunnel ram. I love stuff like this where obviously this thing has been used and abused, and has been put through its paces. I always love checking out the wheels. You never know what you're going to find at a swap meet, and the ones that really stuck out to me were these polished Krager Super Tricks with the Firestone Drag 500 front runner tires. You gotta love the old Moroso cable drive tacks with a gold anodized bracket, cool gas pedals, cool distributors and magnetos. These guys had some great stuff. Now this next one's sort of a mild custom. This 55 Chevy Bel Air two-door hardtop has a few mild modifications on the outside, like the raised rear wheel wells and a candy orange paint job. Very slick looking car, and on the inside this thing has a very elaborate 70s style interior. You can see the diamond stitching with buttons, the velour inserts, and a wood grain steering wheel. This thing was top notch back in the day. Here's another one that takes you back to the 70s or 80s. This is a 57 two-door hardtop, and you can see those gold centered Krager SST wheels. And on the inside this thing has a very plush seating arrangement, and up here got a big block Chevy gold anodized Chevrolet Power valve covers. I've never seen a set of those before. And then we see it has a tilt front end, which appears to be steel. It's just bolted together, has a louvered hood, and look at that chrome bumper. All of that stuff is all together. I bet that's one heavy front end, but a very cool piece nonetheless. Now the drag racing action is really intense, but they have some fun too. Check out the push car for this Pro Mod. It's a 56 Nomad. You see that bar there? They pushed this thing up to the staging lanes with a classic 56 Nomad, but look at this setup. Completely 100% fiberglass or maybe even carbon fiber body. This thing has a killer blown and injected combination, zoomy headers. This thing ran way down in the 4s in the 8th mile. Very cool looking Pro Mod combination. This year they had a special lot for patina cars. Now this one is a little bit beyond patina. This is more like rust, but this thing has some cool speed parts on it. Check out those Anson ground grabber traction bars. You don't see those very often, and they're still in excellent condition, complete with the decals. And we look on the inside, and this thing has bucket seats. Now, sedan deliveries had bucket seats from the factory, but these have been upgraded to more of a 60s design. We can see it has that metal flake steering wheel, 4-speed shifter sticking up out of there. This is a cool looking interior. You can see they have had some custom work done on it in the past. And then we look up here, it's got a little aluminum scoop screwed to the hood. And then under the hood is a very interesting combination. This is an Oldsmobile engine. Definitely not what you'd normally see under the hood of a Tri-Five Chevy, but still a pretty cool hot rod setup. Now here's a cool gasser. This is a 56 Chevy 150. Notice that short trim. Now this was actually the giveaway car for this year's Tri-Five Nationals. This is a brand new build, 100% new from top to bottom. You can see it has a cool stance. You can see the bright blue frame underneath. And under the hood, it has an LS engine with that tunnel ram and 2 throttle bodies. And it has those 409 type valve covers to kind of trick the eye into thinking this is a 409 car. But ultimately, it's all brand new powertrain. A lot of great parts went into this thing and a lot of great work to make a very cool looking giveaway car. Here's another cool Corvette, and I love the color combination on this one. This sort of burnt orange color with the white coves. This is a very cool looking period correct car. This car was originally built for the Southeast Gassers Association Superstock class. You can see that it has little slicks on the back, Kragers, got the little scoop. This is not a full-on gasser. This is a Superstock creation. You can see that cable drive tack, the old 3-point roll bar, the original steering wheel, original bucket seats. This thing is so cool. It looks like it came straight out of the 60s, but the paint job is actually fresh on this car. Here's another really cool gasser, 57 Chevy, and you see this one doesn't have any chrome on the side, so it probably started life as a 150. You can see great gasser stance. It's not way up in the air, it's just right. They've cut the wheel wells way out on the back. You can see the slicks and the Krager wheels sticking out just right. The front wheels, those look like Magnesium Americans, but I believe those are modern ET 5-spoke wheels that have been painted to look like Magnesium. Either way, extremely cool setup. White fender well headers sticking out, cool cast aluminum scoop, the tube grill with no front bumper. This thing has every piece you would want in a classic 60s style gasser. The gold paint is cool, the hand lettering is cool, the interior is cool. This thing definitely got my attention. Sitting next to it is a 55 Chevy 2-door sedan. This one has a lot of attitude. You can see the patina on here, and then under where the hood should be, we got small block Chevy, Moroso gold valve covers, tunnel ram and 2.4s with velocity stacks. And this thing has just a little bit of everything as far as the color combination, but check out those wheel wells, the pie crust slicks, little side pipes there. This thing is set up just right for a 60s hot rod. I can't get enough of these 55 two-door post cars. Another traditional 60s style car here. Well, see, this one doesn't have a lot of elaborate modifications. It doesn't have a big scoop. You do see that they've pulled the front bumper off of it. It's got fender well headers, and I love the little gold tinted paint on those 5-spoke wheels. We look on the inside, we got a Hurst shifter, we got an old school steering wheel, gauges under the dash, and a tack strapped to the steering column. You can't ask for much better than that. And then on the back, very nicely radius wheel wells, pie crust slicks, and matching 5-spoke wheels. Another really cool traditional hot rod gasser. Now here's some serious horsepower. This is the Mighty Mouse, a very stout small block with a blown and injected combination on top. This is an extremely cool car that I've seen run before, and he was out there making some passes with this car, lining up against another blown and injected car that we'll look at in just a second. This thing is called Blue Bayou. It's a AA gas car, and it is really fast and makes a lot of smoke in the burnout box. If I had to pick a favorite out of the 2,500 plus cars at the Tri-Five Nationals, it's this one. This thing is just plain radical. It's a 55 Chevy. It has a straight axle under the front, and it has this 1471 blown big block Chevy on alcohol. This thing is out of this world. It's extremely loud with those zoomy headers, and it has a Lenco behind it. This thing is one of the coolest drag cars I've ever seen run at the Tri-Five Nationals. And he was only running 1/8 mile, but this thing was running low fives at about 140 miles per hour. And you could tell that they had it softened up pretty good to get off the line without any drama. But this thing is so cool. Check out the inside, funny car cage. You can see everything here. You see the pedals, you see the Lenco shifters, you see the bell housing. It's all there right in front of your eyes. Nothing hidden, nothing covered up. This is a raw, old school race car, and it didn't even have side glass or a back glass in it. It kind of reminds me of the old days of AFX and match races where these cars were just truly outlaws. Now, this thing has giant Halibrands on the back with 33-inch tall slicks, perfectly radius wheel wells, beautiful lettering on the quarter panel, and then it has another pair of those ET front wheels like I mentioned a few cars ago. They've done a really good job making these things look just like old school magnesium wheels. This car was an absolute treat to see in person. They came all the way from Oregon to come play at the Tri-Five Nationals. Here's another iconic Tri-Five Chevy. This is the Shake, Rattle, and Run 57 Chevy, and this thing has been famous for decades. It was originally from the Chicago area and still operates out of there, and this thing has changed a lot through the years. It was originally a gas class car where it sat up, had a straight axle, and it would change through the years to be more of a pro modified style car, which is what we're seeing here. This thing is essentially stuck in time in that pro modified configuration. It has a serious engine combination with nitrous oxide, and this thing always puts on a show. Long burnouts, great launches, runs way down in the 4s in the 1/8 mile. A very cool car with a lot of great history. You can see the lettering on this thing is pristine. The stance is cool, and it even has a vinyl top instead of a painted top. Very cool details on this car and a tremendous amount of drag racing history. Here's another cool car with some history. This thing's been together a long time, and we'll see that custom trim work. They added a second piece of trim to the quarter panel to give this thing a very unique look. The paint's been on this car for decades. You can see the Krager wheels. It's been mini tubbed, and it's got a Chrysler 8 3/4 rear end in it with 430 gears. And then up front, we got a small block with gold Moroso valve covers and a gold air cleaner. This thing has got some cool 70s pieces, and it still has a cool 70s look on the outside as well. On the inside, it has a green metal flake steering wheel, a few extra gauges there, and a more modern tack. But check out the bucket seats with the old upholstery. This thing is showing its age a little bit, but still a very cool old hot rod. Now here's a really cool pair of cars. This is a 57 Chevy 150. And we'll see it's got a pretty moderate setup, but look on the inside. Everything is over on the right-hand side of this car. The steering wheel, the dash is flipped. Everything about this car is reversed from what we normally see. This is an Australian 57 Chevy. It's right-hand drive. It has everything switched over, the steering box, the braking system, everything is switched over. And then we've got another one. Look where the master cylinder is. Look where the battery box is. This time it's a 56 Chevy, 210, four-door sedan, bone stock, all original car, down to the bias ply tires. I mean, this thing is just like it would have left the factory, and it has a right-hand drive setup. Very unique and very cool. That's it for my coverage of the 2026 Tri-Five Nationals. I'm going to end this video with some great drag racing action. Definitely put this one on your calendar. You got to see it in person.